I'd like to talk to you frankly about the death penalty legislation that's making its way through the North Carolina General Assembly right now. It deals with a number of issues, but primarily what it does is it restarts the death penalty in our state that has been under a de facto moratorium based on many different factors. No one is excited about the death penalty, or at least I'm not, and I haven't met anyone who's excited about it. It is a very serious action taken by the state, but it is one where particularly all the victims' families that have been waiting for a very long time for justice expect us to act. They have loved ones who were brutally murdered by senseless killers, and they've been on death row for a long time, and the families want to see justice carried out. The thing that disturbs me the most about all these arguments is that you never hear the victims mentioned. Everyone seems to forget about them. These are the people whose lives were brutally taken. You hear folks talk about the Racial Justice Act, and there is a great depth of misunderstanding with RJA. RJA does not in any way address the guilt or innocence of a party. Please understand that. RJA is statistics used after the fact, typically after all the other valid appeals, constitutional appeals, are exhausted. We've had one set of cases taken to finality under RJA, and in those cases, the one that I point out that shows the complete and utter falseness of RJA and the ridiculousness of it is the fact that Fayetteville police officer Roy Turner's murderer was taken off death row and given life in prison because he allegedly was prosecuted on basis of race. But he is a first-degree murderer, no question there, and he was put into life in prison instead of the death sentence for killing a black man. Officer Roy Turner is a black man. His murderer is a black man. How in the world is the Racial Justice Act, if it weren't completely based on falsehood and is a hoax and a sham, possibly result in a result like that? Another case in point. Currently, virtually all, except for 6 or 7 of the people on death row, of the over 100, 150 plus, have appealed under the Racial Justice Act, whether they're white, black, whether they're Native American or Hispanic. Now again, this leads to very crazy arguments. If those of you who weren't here, I would encourage you to listen back to the tapes where we had a Judiciary 1 hearing a week ago, and you would have heard the testimony from Gaston County District Attorney Locke Bell, a white district attorney who's being accused of being a racist by 3 murderers that he put on death row. The murderers are all of one race. Locke Bell has never sought the death penalty for people of any other race. The irony of ironies is that the 3 first-degree murderers are all white, and they're accusing the white DA of racial discrimination. I have practiced law for 20 years in North Carolina. I have a Democrat DA. I'm a Republican. I don't think my district attorney, who I've tried many cases against, is in any way a racist. I have fought on opposite sides with him. I've represented people of color against my district attorney with white officers in drug cases. And I've never thought that my district attorney was a racist. RJA accuses him of being a racist. In fact, we have a really bizarre case in Wilmington where my DA got a first-degree murderer convicted and put on death row who was tried as a white man and is now appealing, claiming to be Native American and that he was discriminated against in his original trial, and that the decision to try him out and to put him on death row was somehow racist, when he never claimed to be an American Indian until after. I mean, again, folks, if those are the kind of results we get, it's a very, very bad law. And you might say, well, what do we do about people that are on death row that maybe there's DNA evidence, maybe there's something to exonerate them, maybe they're put on death row for racial bias? I will tell you that as an attorney who tries out these cases, not death row cases, I do not do that kind of litigation, but I try out criminal cases all the time. We have something called a Batson challenge. Whenever a DA attempts to take someone off a jury because of their race, we have Batson challenges. We have pre-trial motions. We have motions during trial. We have motions after trial. We have appeals to the United States Supreme Court, to the North Carolina Supreme Court. We have motions for appropriate relief. We have writs of habeas corpus. We have multiple appeals. And for anyone to say that RJA in any way addresses the fact that someone was wrongfully put on death row, I'm telling you, all RJA deals with is someone attempting to get off death row and get life in prison. The question of their guilt, of what they did to an innocent law-abiding citizen, is never questioned, never under question under RJA. Most of the people that are making comments, and the reason I've spent all this time to explain this to you, is because you need to hear the truth. I see newspapers and editorials continue to write stories that somehow talk about people being exonerated and how RJA is necessary for that. It has nothing to do with that. In fact, who started something called the Innocence Commission, which has taken a number of people out of prison, death row or not, has taken a number of people out of prison who are wrongfully convicted. Who did that? A Republican Chief Supreme Court Justice, I. Beverly Lake, started that. The Innocence Commission is something completely different. RJA is a corrupt sham and needs to end. The laws of our state need to be carried out. If you don't believe in the death penalty, I understand. There is no rush to execute people. We have laws and protocols that must be carried out in order for that to happen. But please understand the facts in this, and please also think about the juries who did their solemn duties, the district attorneys who are being called racist, who worked hard to do their solemn duties, and please, by all means, remember the victims and their families who are asking for the justice that was promised to them in our system. Nothing fun about the death penalty, but I want you to at least know the truth of what we're trying to do. God bless you. Thank you for listening.